from live rats going up your butt to literally being cooked alive. We'll look at the 7 worst ancient punishments, with 1 being the lightest and 7 the darkest. Level 1. The rack. The rack is a big wooden frame with rollers on each end. They lay you flat, tie your wrists and ankles to ropes, and those ropes are wrapped around the rollers. Then the torturer starts cranking the handle. Each turn pulls your arms and legs farther apart. Your body stretches, joints pop, and bones get pushed past what they can handle. The speed is what mattered. Crank it fast and you snap quick. Crank it slow and you're stuck suffering way longer. And depending on how far they pushed it, it won't just dislocate shoulders or tear ligaments. Most of the time, the victim's legs would literally be ripped right off. This thing showed up a lot in medieval and early modern Europe. It was mainly used to force confessions. The Spanish especially loved using it during interrogations. Level 2, Tiger Bench. It's just a wooden bench at first. They sit you down, tie your hands and ankles, strap your torso and thighs so you can't move at all. On top of that, they gag you too. Then the bricks start. One at a time, they slide a slab under your feet. Each one lifts your legs a little more. They keep stacking until your legs snap in half. This isn't quick either. They drag it out. They'll raise your legs just enough to hit the worst pain, but not enough to actually break them. Then they'll leave you like that for days or even weeks. You try everything in your power to slide your legs to the side, but you're tied so hard you can't even move an inch. The pain starts as a burn, then turns into something sharp and blinding. Your knees start popping, small cracks at first, then bigger ones. And all while this is going on, they starve you, keep you awake, and shake you every time you close your eyes. After a few days or even longer if you're still alive from starvation and no sleep, they slide in one more brick to finally snap your legs and end it. This method was infamous in China, used for centuries, and even reported in modern labor camps. Level 3, Lingqi. Lingqi, also called death by 1,000 cuts, was an execution method from Imperial China. It was saved for crimes the state saw as unforgivable, things like high treason or killing your own parents, and it lasted all the way up to 1905 before it was finally banned. The prisoner would be tied to a wooden frame in public. Then the executioner would start making small cuts, working from the lower body up toward the head, making over 1,000 cuts. None of them were deep enough to kill right away. The whole point was to stretch it out. People stood around watching as bits of skin and flesh were sliced off, while the executioner took his time between each cut. Only at the very end would he deliver a final blow, usually to the heart or throat. In one version, a fishing net was tied tightly around the victim's body, and the executioner cut away the skin that popped through the holes, leaving thousands of tiny wounds. Level 4, Scaphism. Scaphism was an ancient Persian punishment, and it wasn't meant to be quick. It was built to drag on for days. The victim was tied down inside a narrow wooden boat so they couldn't move, and then came the meal. They were force-fed milk and honey until their stomach was swollen, and the same mix was smeared all over their skin. After that, they'd be pushed out into a lake. At first, you're just drifting under the hot sun, but soon the food they stuffed into you starts to hit. Your stomach cramps, you get sick, and the diarrhea comes. Before long, you're sitting in your own waste, and the smell mixed with the honey pulls in swarms of bugs, all of them biting, stinging, and laying eggs right into your wounds. Every morning, the guards would drag you back in, then force more milk and honey into you, smear it across your body, and shove you back out. You couldn't move or fight off the animals. Over time, your body would start to rot while you were still alive, crawling with worms and parasites. Some accounts say victims lasted more than a week like this. One man even survived 17 days before finally dying. Level 5, Impalement. One of the slowest and most terrifying punishments in history. The idea was simple. They would force you down onto a sharpened wooden stake stuck upright in the ground. The stake wasn't meant to kill you fast. It was put so you had to balance on your toes, using your own weight to keep you from sliding down. At first you fight it. You tense your legs, stand up as tall as you can, and hold yourself from slipping. But muscles get tired. Your toes would start to hurt, and you would slide down a bit. Pain shoots through you, so you push back up. Then you get tired again and slip a little more. It's the same brutal loop for hours or even days. Eventually, no matter how hard you fight, your body would give out. The stake would tear into vital organs. The Persian king Darius I was said to have impaled thousands of prisoners as a warning. The method spread through empires, showing up in the Ottoman Empire, where it was a feared punishment for traitors and rebels. And of course, the most infamous figure tied to impalement is Vlad the Impaler. In the 15th century, he reportedly executed tens of thousands this way, lining roads with impaled bodies to terrify his enemies. Level 6, Rats. One of its earliest methods was during the 1500s. A prisoner would be tied down and a clay bowl was flipped over on their stomach or chest. A live rat would be trapped inside, then the torturer heats the top of the bowl with hot coals or a torch. The rat would panic trying to find a way out, and the only escape would be down. So it would start clawing and chewing straight into the victim's body, desperately tunneling through flesh to get away from the heat. And that wasn't the only version. Fast forward to the 1970s in Chile under dictator Augusto Pinochet. There was something even darker called the rectoscope. It worked the same way, but instead of a bowl on the stomach, they would insert a tube into the prisoner's butt. Then a rat would be forced in, and with nowhere else to go, it went inside the victim's body. The torturers even expected prisoners to answer questions while this was happening. Most victims didn't survive as you would imagine. Level 7, Brazen Bull. This is the worst way to go out. At first glance, it looks like a giant bronze statue of a bull. Here's how it worked. The victim would be shoved inside through a small hatch, and once that door slammed shut, a fire was lit directly underneath. And because it was solid metal, the entire inside basically turned into an oven. It was a slow and painful death. At first, you'd try to move around, switching from one side of your body to the other, lifting your arms and legs just to avoid touching the burning floor. Every time your skin hit the metal, it would sizzle. You would try anything to get relief, but the heat just kept climbing. Eventually, you'd run out of strength and just give up. Your skin would peel, and before long, your body would literally start cooking. And this wasn't just about killing someone. It was about turning it into a show. The bull was designed with special tubes in its head so that when the victim screamed, the sound came out sounding like the roar of a real bull. So instead of human cries, the crowd outside would hear a real bull. The worst part of all this was that the pain levels were controlled. If the executioners wanted it to be quick, they would turn up the flames. But if they wanted to make it last, they would keep the fire low so the victim cooked slowly. That meant hours of pain. The invention story behind this is kind of wild. There was this ancient ruler named Phalaris in Sicily, known for being cruel. He wanted a torture device that wasn't just painful, but also entertaining for the crowd. So a craftsman named Perillus came up with the bull. When he showed it off, he bragged that the screams would sound like music. Phalaris wasn't amused and decided to test it on him, making Perillus the very first victim of his own invention.